You've heard the saying that life's a bowl of cherries. Well, we found a couple in northern Michigan for whom cherries and cherry pie meant a dramatic life change, no matter how you slice it. Denise and Mike Busley had it all. 2 kids and successful careers in sunny Southern California. But the California good life left them little time to be together.
Our professional lives never met. I mean, he went off to Lockheed Martin and I went off to my little sales job, and we very rarely even spoke about what we did really.
8 years ago, this aerospace engineer and medical supply saleswoman decided something was missing. So they traded the corporate ladder for a bowl full of cherries.
Mike and I kind of listen to our hearts a lot.
I think a lot of people, the goal is to strive to be in charge and just direct from, you know, that office on the top floor. But I'd rather be lifting and moving stuff.
The family moved back to Michigan, where Mike and Denise grew up and attended college. At first, their friends didn't quite understand.
Priorities change, outlooks change, and over the course of time, we decided that we wanted a more balanced quality of life situation.
Believe it or not, we're moving to Traverse City, Michigan, and making pie. And everybody was like, oh, because I was not known as a baker.
Traverse City is known as the cherry capital of the world. Cherries were first planted here more than 100 years ago, with more than 70% of the nation's tart cherries grown in the region. And even though they've never so much as worked at a bakery, this enterprising couple knew they could capitalize on cherries.
We're the cherry capital. We have the cherry festival and all those things, so let's make the best cherry pie with local cherries. Our goal and our whole purpose is to make the absolute best pie that can be made commercially and to give Grandma a run for her money.
And that's exactly what they did. Mike and Denise took a crash course in baking from the owners of a pie shop in California. Lesson number 1, incredibly flaky pie dough prepared in small batches on low speed. Tiny bits of shortening are actually left in the mixture.
Let's feel and look. Color. If the shortening and the flour combine too much, you won't have flakiness.
The dough sits at room temperature overnight before it's pressed into the pans. When these crusts are filled and baked, it's flake heaven.
Some pie crusts, I think, are too dry, kind of fall apart, and some are too oily, and theirs are the right combination so that it's flaky without being too dry or having a sense of it being too greasy.
Lesson number 2, fruit. Lots and lots of Michigan-grown fruit.
200 something. I counted them once. I could count them again. I mean, it might be, as I look at this, there's probably more than that.
That's 200 or more freshly pitted, stemmed, and frozen tart cherries in each and every pie.
What we're finding out about cherries now, specifically these Montmorency tarts, is they have a lot of natural healing qualities. Melatonin in there, antioxidants.
The Grand Traverse Pie Company uses 120,000 pounds of cherries for their pies each year. There's no scrimping when it comes to the crumb topping either.
The crust isn't overpowering. It is one of the best pies I've ever had.
That's what it is. But when it comes to the other ingredients, Mike and Denise discovered that less is more. Only a small amount of sugar, flour, and almond are added to the top of the tart cherries, creating a filling that leaves fruit pie fans more than satisfied.
And what I like about their pie filling is that it's not too sweet, it's not too gelatinous, too thick, and it's also not too watery.
And lesson number 3, following your heart can reap big rewards.
Pies suit us much better than business. This is much more who we are, I think.
It's as good or better than what my grandma used to make. She was a wonderful baker, and this is just as good. It's wonderful.
When Mike and Denise opened, they hoped to bake and sell 50 pies a day to stay within their budget. That was in 1996. Now they own 4 pie shops in Michigan and Indiana. Some days, they bake up to 600 pies in this location alone. Still, they're baking them the way Grandma did, from scratch, with no preservatives, every day.
And it's not about making 10,000 pies a day, because then you need big vats and you need pie machines that actually simulate all this work. That's not what we're trying to do.
Their children, Kelly and Bobby, were young when they moved from California. Now they're able to help out after school and during busy summers. Kelly travels home from college on weekends to man the booth at the local farmers market.
I was 11 when we moved here. I think it's kind of cozier. People are a little more open to getting to know, like, you know, the people that help them out. I like everything about the pie. It's kind of unfortunate. I'm addicted, actually.
Brother Bobby was 6 when the family moved here. He's the family expert when it comes to fluting pies.
I'm happy about coming here because we're more of a family.
It took a while for the family to adjust to owning a seasonal business. Denise likens their first January in Traverse City to waiting by the door for a date that never shows up.
It's sort of like when you have a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend and they're like, ooh, you're calling them all the time, whatever, and then they don't call you. That's sort of how it felt. It's like, oh, they don't love us anymore, you know, so it was really frightening.
They started with a menu of cherry and a small number of other fruit pies. That's grown to include more than 24 varieties, including quiche and pot pies. But more important than the expanded menu is the heartfelt sense of community they found by nourishing their homegrown business.
We really have been embraced, you know, by the community.
The gratification of, you know, making something good, having the family and the great employees, not at a management level, but at a real level with people, something just feels pretty good.
This is about family in so many ways, and it starts with, you know, Mike and I think it's about commitment, and I think it's about, you know, if something, you know, putting in what you need to put in to make something work, and you reap such rewards. But I think that that's probably what it's about.
Oh, by the way, Mike and Denise said they got the idea for these mini pies from their customers who said the 9-inch ones were too big for their households. These, well, they're just right.